running a law firm while practicing law can be absolutely overwhelming. That's why so many attorneys work 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week. They're overwhelmed and do not really feel incredibly productive despite all the hours being put into it. Often enough, the problem is in administration of your business. In this podcast episode, we unfold some of the problems that Liz Miller of From Lawyer to Law Firm Consulting Group helps attorneys solve, primarily in administering the business. Tune into this episode, learn what she does, learn how she does things, and see if maybe she or a good, very skillful administrator can help you solve some of those problems in your law firm. Hi there. I have a small but really meaningful favor to ask you. I watch at the stats on our YouTube channel and Spotify channel, wherever most people listen and watch our podcast. And I see that over 80% of everybody who listens to it regularly is not a subscriber. I'm asking you to subscribe to this channel. And the reason for that is my mission and the mission of my team is to help as many small law firm owners to learn how to transform their law firms into better businesses, and so they in turn enjoy better lives. When you hit subscribe button, you tell these platforms that this is content worth listening, worth viewing, and they in turn will show it to many other small law firm owners and hopefully help me fulfill our mission of helping them create a better business and enjoy better lives. So would you please do me this favor? It would mean the world to me, and hit the subscribe button. And my promise to you is that I will continue to work hard at creating good content with practical ideas that help you and your teams grow better law firms. Thank you. Welcome to the GLF podcast, where I interview amazing guests who help attorneys run their business better, scale it faster, grow it more profitable. In this episode, I get to sit down and interview Liz from lawyer to law firm, which I love the name, by the way, because it really encapsulates what so many lawyers wish they would do. Even those who run their own law firms, they're still stuck being a lawyer. Liz, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Actually, we named the business after my first book. I didn't name the business. I couldn't think of a name, and I published a book in 2017, From Lawyer to Law Firm, how to manage a small business. And that's when I said to myself, that's a great name for our business.
That is. So Google it, Elizabeth Miller, From Lawyer to Law Firm. I haven't read the book, but the title sounds perfect. So you've been in the industry for something like 25 years when you decided to branch out on your own and start this consulting / coaching / actually administration firm. What led you to it?
I can't really say anything for sure. I can tell you that I always wanted to go to law school, and I never had the opportunity. I love the legal profession. Either that or I'm crazy, but because it's been like 35 years now. But I don't know. I just woke up one day and I thought, there are people out there that could use somebody to help them with managing their law office and whatever. And they either can't afford it or can't find the right person. So I went to school. I got my bachelor's degree. I got an MBA with a specialty in finance because that's very important, money and all that. And I just went out on my own, a leap of faith.
So 10 years into it, I mean, you and I obviously know that it's one thing to practice law. It's an entirely different thing to practice business. And before we hit the record button, I've shared that a lot of our clients would much rather practice law while also operating their law firms than actually running and operating their law firms. The comfort zone is doing exactly what I love, doing exactly what I trained for, doing exactly what I've done for so many years now, rather than doing what is necessary, which is managing the law. So I understand why law firm owners come to you, but tell me, what are the most common problems that you help them fix in their business?
The most common problems, I would have to say, number one is billing. Because if you bill your clients, but you don't actually bill your clients, then you have a problem. I have people that come to me that will tell me for 2, 3, 6 months that they've not sent out bills to clients. So how do you run a law office with money when you don't bill your clients for money?
Yeah.
So that's probably number one.
So it's
Um,
surviving on retainers, as you mentioned before we
yeah,
took over.
well, that's what they do. The initial retainer, say in a family law case, is 35 or 5,000 or even more, and that goes into the operating account. Attorneys take it as a non-refundable, retainer, so they can pay their bills off of that. The problem is that the other, billables, you need to replenish the trust
Hmm.
account, and we all know how that goes. So they build up the receivables, but they live off the retainers. So,
Yeah. So it's like I always think that cash flow is like the oxygen for your business.
mhm.
And by not billing very regularly, you're suffocating your business. Maybe a little bit, maybe a lot, but you're suffocating. And what is your recommendation? What is the right frequency for a small-ish, like under $10 million law firm to do
um, billing twice a month.
twice a month?
Yeah, because there's enough time in between billing to collect what you've already billed them for,
Hmm.
and there's enough time to do something about it before the next billing cycle if they're not going to pay you.
Got it. And the collection rate, I assume, for those who wait for 3, 4, 5, 6 months to bill is significantly lower than those who bill every 2 weeks.
If you bill every 2 weeks, I can get your accounts receivable down to about 5%,
Got it. So
which is,
95% is going to pay.
oh, yeah,
Got
yeah,
it.
absolutely.
What if it's every 3 months? What do you see? What's the collection rate there?
The collect,
60%?
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably because you know what happens in 2, 3, or 6 months when they're getting a bill for 3, 4, 5,000 dollars. They get the bill, they look at it, and they go, "Oh, this is nice," and they throw it on the side. Who's going to write a check for that kind of, for that kind of money? They're not even going to try to make a payment on it because, what, $500, $600 even is not even going to make a dent in it.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So first solution, billing every 2 weeks or
Yep.
every 15 days, twice a month. And this is something that you help attorneys set up. And you actually help them, some of your clients, you actually help them operate and you make sure that the billing is done correctly and regularly and collections go up to 95%.
Absolutely. Yep.
Cool. What's the second most common problem that you help them solve?
Staffing.
Okay.
Staffing has become, especially now in the last couple of years. I mean, staffing was always a problem, right? Somebody sends in a resume, the attorney is desperate to hire, he hires, doesn't check references, doesn't check anything. The person isn't what they said they were going to be. In a couple of weeks, it blows up, they leave, and you start all over again, right? Well, now with COVID, everybody wants to work from home still, and everybody's wanting $10,000 to $20,000 more than what they're worth, you know. So high money people working from home. Are they really working or are they doing a load of laundry, making a pot of coffee, calling their mother, and watching TV?
So we're recording this early March of 2025. I don't know when
Hmm.
you're watching this episode or when you listen to this, but the big thing on the news right now is Doge, Department of Government Efficiency. And a couple of
Hmm.
weeks ago, Elon Musk sent out, or whoever works there, sent out a mass email to all federal employees asking, list 5 things that you did the last week.
Right.
And there's been a major rebellion there where people refuse
Hmm.
to let their employer, because federal government is the employer, to let them know what it is that they did the previous week, which
Hmm.
sounds insane.
Yep.
So by comparison, smaller law firms, even those employees who work remotely, there's probably a lot more sanity, but you're saying that there's still some insanity and a lot of inefficiencies.
Yeah, I think that there is. It's very I don't know. It just, you need a special kind of person that is disciplined enough that's going to sit down. Okay, maybe not at 8:30, a quarter to 9. Okay, what, whatever, a few minutes here. That's going to sit down and actually do the work, right? Now, the difference is I also work from home. A lot of my clients will do everything by Zoom now. I know what needs to be done, whatever. The difference is if you send me an email at 1:30, by 1:35 you're going to hear back from me.
Hmm.
Unless I'm on a Zoom call, and then I can text them while I'm on the Zoom call and say, "Hey, I'm on a Zoom call, I'll get with you." Some of these people, and I know because clients have told me this, you send them an email at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you don't hear from them until 10 o'clock the next morning. What are they doing?
Yeah.
That,
How do you solve these problems for your clients?
well, first of all, they defer to me, so I get the headache of worrying about finding the right person, making sure, talking to their references, making sure they're going to do, and then we just have to what? You have to assign tasks and you just, everything from doing a good job vetting them to seeing them through. There's has to be processes and procedures and everything in the office so that you can make sure that they're doing their work.
Do you verify them doing their work daily, weekly? Like how often?
I think that we probably look daily, at least just to see if the tasks are getting done. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, overall, you just have to say, is the job getting done? With some people, it is. Attorneys have come to me and said, I'm paying for 40 hours of work, but I'm a week, but I'm only getting 20 hours worth of work.
Hmm.
There's a problem,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. We have solved it in my business very efficiently. We have something like 92 employees, and we break our org chart into specialists and managers. So every manager manages up to six specialists, I believe.
Mhm.
And manager level one, there are managers higher levels also, but manager level one gives out tasks on daily basis and every day verifies completion and does random quality checks of the deliverables of each specialist. And then we have managers level two, and managers level two usually have few level managers level one report to them, and they measure performance of managers level one very differently. They look at the quality of the deliverables of the entire team. So they grade teams on a scale of 0 to 5, 5 being best. And so M2 is managers level two. They will look at this quality and they're like, look, your team overall is performing at level 4 or 3.5. Why is that? Do you need to coach up your employees or your specialists? Do you need to replace somebody because they're dragging everybody else's score down? So, and we find it that M1s have to work managers level one. They have to work with specialists every day. And managers level two have to work with their M1s every week. And that
Okay.
hierarchy works incredibly well. So, but we're of decent size. And I thought that when you just mentioned those problems that you help law firms solve, I'm like, if it was just my partner and I, and we had no other managers, I would have no idea how to tackle this. So I'm sure that your clients thank you and thank God that you're there for them, help them tackle some of those problems because those are serious. And if you want to focus on practicing law and not doing this administration or management, this is hard. It would probably get neglected.
Yeah. It is hard, but something, I translate everything to money, and
Mm,
that is money in the attorney's pocket. So if somebody is wasting time, that just doesn't set very well with me, you
yep.
know?
Yep, absolutely. So billing, got it. Staffing, got it. Any other common problems that come across your desk, so to speak, that you help them tackle?
Um, I would probably put as number three everything else.
Everything else.
Um,
That's the
because
benefit of you having done this for 35 years. You know how to do everything else.
right, everything else, which is, marketing and conflict resolution and payroll and KPIs and processes and procedures and getting software for clients and just anything that has to do with managing the business of practicing law. That is the tagline that we use. Um, anything that has to do with that.
Got it. I'm sure you're very busy. How do you determine if a potential client is a good fit for you, or you'd rather stay away?
That's really very interesting because I just had a conversation with a client about this today. And she said to me at the end, she said, I really like you. You're very personable, down to earth. They can relate to you. And she started crying.
Why?
Those because they're so overwhelmed and
Mm,
with everything, and I guess like venting it on me and hearing that there's a solution, and it's just like a sigh of relief.
it's therapeutic. It's almost like you're a therapist and they get to unload on you.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, part of what I do is coaching. Although, like you and I talked earlier, even if I'm not coaching and I'm teaching them something or advising them, to me, that's still kind of coaching. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
So it all kind of works together.
Yeah. My partner and I, we have numerous advisors slash coaches, and basically, they help us diagnose problems and help us come up with solutions. We currently have one, two, I think two advisors, those
Hmm.
that I can think of. We regularly consult with them, and both of them are exponentially more successful than we are. Like much larger businesses,
Oh.
much more larger businesses. And this is exactly what we come to them for. It's the teaching, right? It's diagnose the problem and teach us how to solve it. Diagnose the problem, teach us how to solve it. So, and I can see how it can be very therapeutic. And sometimes one of our advisors, when we started with him the second session, he pointed to a major flaw in our business. Major flaw. It has nothing to do with the service, but it has to do with scalability of our business. And I don't think I haven't been in therapy, but I imagine that there's probably a breakthrough moment in a lot of therapy where you just realize like my life sucks because of this, right? And it was that moment was like, oh wait, I've been doing this. Like I've owned part of this business for 7 years. The business itself is almost 16 years old. 16? 17. And I've owned it for 7 years now. And that advisor came in second session. He's like, what about this? And we're like, well, it's that. And he's like, but what about this? And we're like, oh, shit. And that's where he showed us like a major flaw in our business. And it's not just us, it's the entire industry. And he was like, how do you solve this? And we're like, he's like, you have this homework assignment. Come back in the week and tell us how you're going to solve it. And we came back and said, there's no solution. And he said, well, there's a major flaw in your business and you just have to live with it. And well, I didn't see it. So it was, again, like very therapeutic. Like you said, your client cried,
Hmm.
that sigh of relief. And for us also, it was like unfortunately, very like negative piece of information,
Hmm.
but there's also that relief where it's like, oh, if you have a problem, you just kind of like live with it because that's just a problem. Nothing to do with client services, nothing to do
Hmm.
with HR. Everything that has to do with our actual, we're a marketing company. It has everything to do with our actual marketing.
Hmm.
Well, you know what it is.
So now you just have to live with it.
We just have to live with it. Yeah.
I don't know if I don't know. I would not sleep night and day trying to figure out,
There's,
how to
there's,
resolve that.
there's no solution. It's just what is. It's like if I wish to play in NBA, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
5'8", I'm
Mm-hmm.
just going to have to live with it. Like I'm not going to play in NBA. End of story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So super interesting. So I'm imagining that, and most people who listen to this podcast are small law firm owners, and I group everyone that runs law firms under $10 million in gross revenue into small law firm owners. Obviously, $10 million law firm is going to operate very differently than a $500,000 law firm. If somebody's listening to this and they're like, man, I see myself in this, like I do have some of these problems. I wish to talk to somebody who's been there and done this for 35 years so that they could help me solve some of my problems with coaching or with administrative services, which you also provide. Like, how do they connect with you? What's the best way to connect with you?
Well, they could connect with me through my email, which is liz at fromlawyertolawfirm.com. Or they can call me 813-340-9569. I'm happy to help them with whatever. And, people don't just need to hire me. I mean, some people will email me with a question or,
Sure.
whatever. And I will sit down and write them an answer. It's not all about money for me. I love the profession. It's been very good to me. And, I enjoy what I do.
Awesome. Liz, thank you so much. It was great to have you on the podcast.
It was really great to be here. Thank you so much.